Students, for this review of adjectives and adverbs, you will need your parts of speech document, your grammar book, and Angel to complete your final assessment. To begin, let's review adjectives, which are in the bottom corner of your document. An adjective is a word used to modify a noun or pronoun. Adjectives answer 3 questions: which one, what kind, and how many. You will need to memorize these questions in order to help you with your grammar work. I also want to remind you of article adjectives. In class, we will only call these adjectives, but words like a, and the are always included as adjectives when doing homework. Please take a look at your grammar book on page 126. On page 126, you'll see that it says an adjective is a word that modifies or describes a noun or pronoun. For instance, the noisy crowd cheered for Darla. Crowd is a noun. What kind of noun? What kind of crowd? A noisy crowd, making noisy the adjective. It also tells you that adjectives help you see, feel, taste, hear, or smell all of the things that you read about. The box below, I think, will help you with those questions. Here we see our questions: what kind, which one, and how many. So we have fast riders. What kind of riders? Fast. Which one? Which lap? First lap. And how many teams? 5 teams. As you're doing your homework and your assessment in this next section, make sure you're always asking yourself these 3 questions. On page 127, it mentions again articles. We have article adjectives such as a, and the. Please make sure in your assessment that you include all of these article adjectives. Finally, the last thing I want you to keep in mind are proper adjectives such as Shakespearean, Asian. Also, if I were to say Mrs. Koharchik's book, which book? Mrs. Koharchik's, making Mrs. Koharchik's an adjective as well. Students, to complete your assessment, half of your assignment will be on page 128, exercise 3. At this time, you need to either open up a document or get out a piece of paper. Pause the video if you need to at this time. I have opened up a document for adjectives. Notice I labeled it page 128, exercise 3. You are welcome to use paper if you like. I will do number 1 with you. Number 1 says, some successful inventors are mature scientists. Well, first I need to look for nouns or pronouns because that's what adjectives modify. I see the noun inventors. Which inventors? Successful inventors. Or what kind of inventors? Successful. How many inventors? Some. So I will write some and successful. And it modifies the noun inventors. Make sure that you write your adjectives and the noun which it modifies. I also notice, though, that I have the noun scientists. What kind of scientists? Mature scientists. So I will also write mature, which is an adjective, modifying the noun scientists. Students, this is only half of your assessment. At this time, you may wish to pause the video and complete page 128, exercise 3, 1 through 10, or you may wish to continue and learn about adverbs and finish all assessments together. Looking back at your parts of speech document, let us review adverbs. Adverbs are words used to modify a verb, adjective, or another adverb. Like adjectives, they have questions. How, when, where, and to what extent. At this time, I would ask that you add that question to your document. If you're using your PDF, you can go grab the typewriter at the top and add the question, to what extent. take a look at your grammar book on page 134. Here it says an adverb is a word that modifies a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. The example they give you, historians strongly believe that the Chinese invented rockets. Believe is the verb, and how do they believe? They believe strongly. Remember, adverbs often end in ly. The second sentence they give you, ancient Chinese warriors fired very powerful rockets. Well, rockets is a noun. What kind of rockets? Powerful, making powerful an adjective. Then we have how powerful? Very powerful. Therefore, very is also an adverb. And then finally, adverbs can modify adverbs. Today, rockets almost always power missiles. Well, power is a verb. When do they power? Always. To what extent do they always power? Almost. So the word almost modifies the adverb always. Students, it may seem difficult, but as long as you remember that adverbs modify three things, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs, and you memorize these 4 questions, you'll do fine. So remember, adverbs answer the questions how, when, where, and to what extent. I think this box is very helpful as it gives you some examples for each question. Scrolling down, your book also mentions to you that adverbs can be found anywhere in the sentence. After a verb, before the verb, at the beginning of the sentence. So make sure you look through those sentences carefully as you complete your assignment. Finally, at the top of page 135, there is another box called intensifiers. And these are words that when you see them, automatically we know that they are adverbs. Almost, especially, extremely, nearly, quite, really, so, to, usually, and very. Your assessment for adverbs can be found on page 136, exercise A. Students, at this time, take out your document that you are recording your answers or your piece of paper. I have done this on my page. I wrote page 136, exercise A. Similarly to what we did in the first exercise, you're going to be writing down the adverbs and the words which they modify. The sentence is, people were flying gliders experimentally in the early 1900s. Well, I noticed that there's a word in there with ly, and usually adverbs end in ly. Experimentally. Well, what would it be modifying? Adverbs answer how, when, where, and to what extent. Well, how were they flying? Oh, they were flying experimentally. So I will write experimentally, because that is my adverb. And it is modifying the verb, were flying. Make sure you include verb phrases as we practiced with the last exercise. Students, adverbs can be difficult, so you will need to slow down. Complete 1 through 10, then go back and double check your work before submitting your answers to Angel. On Angel, you will notice that I have written the page number and the question number. Please be sure to read the answers carefully. I will do number 1 with you. It says on page 128, number 1, which adjective or adjectives modify the noun inventors? Well, if we go back to our work that we did earlier, we see that some and successful modify inventors. So I will go back to the assessment and click on some and successful. Notice this is multiple select. Some will have more than one answer. As we scroll down to page 136, number 1, the question is, the adverb or adverbs in this sentence are, and I should select all that apply. Well, looking back at my document, we determined that there was only one adverb, experimentally. So I will only select experimentally. Students, please take your time on this assessment as you have the entire period. When you are finished, insert your answers carefully. Every question asks something different. If you do not get a 90% or higher, look over your work, re-watch the video, and then fix the errors that you have made, and you must retake the assessment by tomorrow.